Hey guys, what's up? I don't know what it is. Is it because it's getting into summertime? Is there something going on with the alignment of the planets or something? Is there some kind of cosmic event going on that I don't know about? Because it seems that the idiots are really starting to come out the woodwork these past couple of days under my channel and in my videos and such. And they always keep seeming to go under old freaking videos of mine. I promised myself when I came back to making videos regularly on YouTube, I said to myself, you're not going to be the old sword sage. In fact, this is actually a promise I had made even before I had that, gap and then came back. If you look at some of my earlier stuff, I tended to clash with idiots a lot. Like every now and then, like, um, what you call it, Kensai Excel or whatever the fuck his name was, Crazy, 316. Like certain idiots who really pissed me off, and I would have a back and forth with them, or I'd point out idiots in the comment section. And then later on, I'm like, you know what? This is a lot of freaking aggravation just to deal with morons. People already know they're morons. There's no reason for me to like get bent out of shape talking about how much they're morons. So I was like, just ignore it. Ignore comments. Don't do videos. Just focus on the things that really piss you off. There's already a lot of idiots around the world that I can focus my rage on. They're in Congress. So I was just, don't do this stuff. But I saw something tonight that really set me off, and it's because it's stupid on so many levels, and it makes me wonder what the hell is wrong with thinking. Like, I know people don't think much anymore, but okay, let me just go on with it so you guys can figure out what the hell I'm sputtering about. You guys may know, I'm sure you guys know, it's actually these are the videos that I seem to get the most views. You guys may remember I got a small little series, which I still need to continue, called my Martial Arts Myth series, and the one that seems to be, the one that gets a lot of hits, well, they both get a lot of hits, but the ninjutsu one in particular, I still get lots of views on. And the link's below if you want to see the conversation, and I suggest you guys go and read it because the arrogance and stupidity in the comments under there were beyond belief. Now, these weren't the typical comments I used to get by wannabe ninja warriors who, got offended by the fact that I pointed out that, with ninjutsu, there's more fakes than real people, and even the real ones are on shaky ground. It's freaking true. I'm sorry, but it is. Fighting skills notwithstanding, the whole history of ninjutsu and stuff like that. I don't need to get into it again. You guys know. This guy wasn't really offended by that. At least I don't think he was, but now I'm beginning to wonder. No, he was coming after me because in the video he went under, which was my like addendum before my other addendum where I just basically said, look, if you guys, put up or shut up, the one just before my put up and shut up, he took offense at the fact that I told people to research by checking out books and look online to, find out the history of these martial arts so they don't fall for fakes. He took offense to that and said that what I really should be doing instead of researching this stuff is to go to these countries myself to find out the truth. So in other words, instead of, researching the works of other people who have, looked up the history of these martial arts, or contact other martial artists who know about this, or look up online journals or articles or, essays from actual works on the subject. No, what I really should do is save up my money, buy a plane ticket, and then just go to another country to get my face punched in by some Japanese dude in order to find out the truth of ninjutsu or whatever freaking martial art I'm trying to find out about. Hopefully you guys can see how ridiculous that premise is, and I pretty much told him that. Now, I personally think that I was fairly tame in my response to him. I'm not going to say there wasn't a little bit of bite, but I wasn't trying to be a jackass. I basically told him, look, you're asking quite a bit of people to expect people to just drop everything they're doing and just go to another freaking country to learn about martial arts. People have lives, people have jobs, people have family. Like it's like in me in particular, I got a family to feed, I have a job to maintain, I have bills to pay. I am not, some person with a lot of wealth that I can just up and say fuck it and then grab a plane ticket and fly off to Japan to find out about ninjutsu. Not that I would even want to. I have no interest in that, in practicing that martial art whatsoever. If anything, I want to go to China, which is something I've always wanted to do, and one day I'm gonna do, and go to places that like Beijing, for instance, which is the hard place of Baguazhang, which is my martial art. I plan on going there. And when I was younger, before I had a family, that was one of my goals. Still one of my goals, but now my money's going elsewhere. I have responsibilities. So I am going to have to set that aside for my family and feed my passion for martial arts in a different way by training as hard as I can where I'm at, by communicating with other people who practice martial arts in order to, trade information, to research articles and essays and actual, historical books on the subject. Do some serious work, save for going abroad. And I would think that that's a reasonable thing to, undertake and accept, right? No, the asshole then decides to call me a keyboard warrior because I'm not willing to go abroad and I get all my facts from the internet. That's the thing that really blows my mind. He automatically assumes that everything that I said in those videos I got from the internet. Even after I said that, I didn't get all my stuff from the net in the video and even my response to him. Now, he was no, you're a keyboard warrior. Okay, he can think what he wants, but he's a fucking idiot for thinking so. Because I didn't say that that's where I got my stuff. Just because I happen to mention to people, look online. For anybody who might be thinking like this idiot, and who have a problem with looking up things online, there's something you assholes need to fucking understand. This is the 21st century. Okay? There is more on the net than just boobs and trolls. There is more than just a bunch of assholes on a message board just saying any garbage they want. There are also archives full of information on a variety of subjects. You can look up scientific journals. And like real scientific journals written by experts in the field, putting down what they found out. And they put it down for other people in their field to read and research. But it just so happens that if you can get in, you can find out about that stuff too. Medical journals, scientific journals, engineering journals, stuff on computing. And there's also tons of tutorials and there's tons of stuff by enthusiasts who ended up getting really good at what they do because they traded, tips and secrets, or I shouldn't say secrets, but they traded technical expertise or expertise in any field of subject back and forth. And you can find this stuff. How to build computers, you can find that stuff. If you want to give yourself a real education on the subject, you can. Hell, I forgot which college it was, but there's a college that actually decided to put its materials online for free for you to look up. You're not going to get a degree, but you can actually give yourself a freaking education, a real education on a variety of serious topics. The net is actually a resource tool. It is not just a place to fuck around and goof off and be an idiot. I know that's what it mostly is used as today, but I'm from the old school. I remember back when we went online and videos weren't the main thing. It was just walls of text. If you saw a picture, it was like a holy grail. I come from those times, so I'm used to using the internet as a freaking resource tool. But I also, since I had come from an older age when it wasn't an internet and you couldn't use a computer for this, you had to go to the library. You had to call people up. You had to look for books that were kind of rare. You had to look up articles that were kind of rare. And sometimes you couldn't get your hands on that stuff. So you had to locate people who did have their hands on that stuff, who read it or knew about it, and be willing to contact them over the phone or by letter or something to get the information you needed. That's the type of shit I do. That's the type of stuff I did, which allowed me to make those videos I made in the first place. And none of that stuff is invalid. But some people just can't go to another fucking country to get this info. Sometimes the internet is all they have, but if you use it correctly and you use it wisely, it can give you tons of information. Real information that you can use. But no, assholes like this idiot, this Nugent guy, and yes, I'm going to call it by name because idiots like this need to be exposed for their arrogance and stupidity, seem to think that no, you can't get any valuable information that way. The only way you can get valuable, particularly about martial arts, according to him, or at least from what I'm getting, in order for you to be able to fully understand the history of a martial art, you need to pack up all your stuff, go to Japan, and just get your ass kicked by some tiny Japanese dude. And that's how you learn about the history of martial arts. I think that speaks for itself. If on the off chance this cretin happens to be watching this, what does getting beaten black and blue have to do with you being able to research the history of something? I really would like to know. I mean, I am not going to knock going abroad to another country to learn deeper aspects of a martial art. That's something I want to do. It's going to be cool when I can finally do it. But in terms of just researching the history of something, I don't need to go abroad. And besides, if you can't go abroad to learn a physical freaking skill, guess what? Newsflash, you don't have to. There's tons of great fighters in the world right now who never left their freaking country. They just trained hard at home. They found a decent school or they found a decent master. They went to a gym. They worked hard. And they're good. They probably aren't well known. They're probably just keeping to themselves. But they're good at what they do. That's what matters, the dedication to what you're doing. Not whether or not you're able to save up a fucking plane ticket to go to another freaking country. That's not what matters. Another thing that idiots like this don't seem to understand is, and this is going to blow some people's minds. I know a lot of people have a hard time with this, but hear me out. You do not need to study a particular martial art to know if somebody else is doing it wrong. You just need to know about it. I know people, but you get practical skills. Yes, I know there's something to be said about practical skills. And you do, at the very least, need to have a background in some aspects of a certain field in order to know if somebody's kind of fucking up or not. But for those of you who are martial artists in your chosen particular art, be honest with yourselves. Can't you spot a fake when you see one, no matter what they're claiming to know? I do not know Jeet Kune Do. It's not my art. But if I saw somebody claiming to know Jeet Kune Do and they did not know how to throw out the lead hand, or they chambered their kicks as they were kicking, I would know right away that that guy did not know Jeet Kune Do, because I happen to know some of the staples of that style. And how do I know about it? I researched it. I didn't have to go to a Jeet Kune Do gym in order to figure that out. Would it have helped? Yeah. But it's still enough for me to understand that he's doing the kick. If it's Jeet Kune Do, why is he doing the kick wrong? If somebody claims to know Muay Thai kickboxing and throws out a lot of Taekwondo style kicks, that should be your clue. Those of us who are in the martial arts know what a Muay Thai fighter generally fights like, right? Even though we all don't necessarily train in Muay Thai kickboxing. Right? This makes sense, right? If somebody, to kind of go along with the video that this guy was posting under, if somebody claims to be a Japanese swordsman, and the way he's using his sword, he's not pulling with his left arm, he's mostly just chopping with the blade as if it's some type of giant butcher knife, and he doesn't even sheathe the sword in a traditional way, that's kind of a dead giveaway that he's never really trained with the sword in the Japanese fashion. Right? We can agree on this, right? I don't know Japanese swordsmanship, but I know people that do. And they've told me these things. They've also shown me things to look up. And even to this day, like in the past, I used to know a lot of guys in Japanese swordsmanship. And they used to tell me all the time about, this is how it's done. This is how to sheathe it. This is because, like, especially when I was growing up, Japanese swords were all the craze. So everybody wanted to learn how to do it. Except for me, I was a weirdo. I was into Chinese stuff, but whatever. They knew this stuff backwards and forwards. And since When you're in martial arts and you talk to martial artists, it doesn't matter what your art is. You talk about it all the time with other people, and you trade things back and forth. And they're like, no, this is how it's done. They sheathe it this way. There's do your cuts. Chidori, you go like that. The whole wiping of the blood. And there's certain different ways of sheathing it back in there. All this type of stuff. How to do the draw cut, the basics. I don't know the deeper aspects of it because I don't practice it. But usually the frauds can't even do the basics, and that's usually what you have to look at, foundations. And this is something that also kind of blows my mind about idiots who don't seem to understand what I'm talking about right now. The foundation of your martial art is usually the core of what you're doing. Yes, there are deeper aspects, and yes, there are advanced techniques and all that. But your foundation is where you grow from. And people who don't really know these arts don't have that foundation, and you can tell when you don't see it. Someone trained in boxing is just not going to be able to do a good job of faking it as a Taekwondo expert, no matter how much they try to throw sloppy kicks in their backyard, because they don't have the foundation for it. Right? Makes sense, right? A karateka is not going to fool somebody who knows a little bit about what Shaolin styles look like. They can see right away the foundation's not there. The way they're blocking, the way they move, doesn't look like it. You have to and believe it or not, even though immersing yourself physically in these martial arts skills will help you to detect these things easier, you can also know about this by researching it. There's one way to research, and it's like, for instance, Bagua and the way it moves in circular motions. You can train it for yourself, and you will understand a deeper aspect of how it's able to move. So when you look at somebody else who claims to know it and they don't do it right, you can immediately go, no, that's not right. But guess what? If you also did some research on the art itself without necessarily practicing it, but you just did some research on it, and then later on you see somebody else doing a whole bunch of weird butterfly kicks and claiming to use it as Bagua, then you would immediately go, no, that's not it. No. What the fuck are you doing? There are a lot of morons out there who, just because they got their asses kicked by some person abroad, automatically start putting on airs when they bump into somebody else who's speaking on the subject, who didn't decide that they had to gain self-worth by having some Japanese dude almost snap their neck. And that shit's ridiculous, and it's annoying to have to deal with assholes like this. Newsflash, just because you were lucky enough or had enough privilege to be able to go abroad does not make you a superior person to somebody else who's just getting by on their own way of being able to research and study these things. There's a Chinese saying, there's more than one way up the mountain. And your way is not the only fucking way. Now, if we're going to be talking about training physically in a skill, maybe you might have some merit. Maybe. Because, quite frankly, if somebody's going to be talking, you could, personally, if somebody's researching the history of martial arts, I'm going to go out on a limb and say they don't necessarily have to study it, though it will help to actually study physically in it. But if they're going to start talking about the practicality of techniques in that art, but they don't have a background in any type of fighting skill, then I can see what you're talking about. Then I can see somebody calling somebody a keyboard warrior, or saying you need to talk the talk, you need to walk the walk before you can talk the talk, and all that type of shit, right? But this is not what we're talking about. I'm just simply talking about research. Like, the video was focused on being able to discover frauds. And in the case of ninjutsu, in order for you to realize that there's a lot of frauds out there, all you would need to do is study the history of it. And there's plenty of materials to find. There's certainly a lot of garbage out there, but if you're smart enough and you decide to, let me look at some serious historical works on Japanese Budo, on Japanese martial arts. Let me see the history of the organizations that later on decided to set up what schools they consider to be legit and which ones aren't. Let me see if I can interview a couple of people who are in this world. See what they know about what's going on with this. Yeah, you'll be able to figure out right away, after you get some of this information under your belt, without having to set foot inside of a martial arts school first to figure this shit out. Besides, something else that these self-righteous assholes don't seem to understand is that if you want to keep yourself from becoming defrauded, you have to do this legwork anyway. According to these morons, you should just simply walk into any school you find and start training there in order for you to learn. There's no guarantee that if you decide to buy a ticket and go to Japan, the school you walk into is a legit fucking school. There's frauds over there too. Doing some research first helps. It's what keeps us from, getting our money taken, from being tricked by con men in a variety of different things. Before you buy a new car, we research. Look up consumer reports. See reviews on different car models and on different companies to see if it's fucking worth it. We talk to other people who, what do you know about this car? Right? And yet we're not supposed to do stuff like that when it comes to researching the history of martial arts in order to figure out if somebody's a fake or not. Are you Are you that fucking arrogant and stupid that just because you decided to put most of your life aside just to go abroad and have somebody else be your fucking master and you be their fucking beating slave for a couple of months, suddenly now you're better off than everybody else who decided to, do it in a saner fucking fashion to find out? Hell, even before you decide to go and pay for that fucking plane ticket to go wherever the hell it is that you wanted to go to, you had to do some type of research, right? I mean, if you didn't do any research before you decided to go abroad and get your ass kicked, you're an idiot. And I guess you got lucky that you got the training you did from somebody legit, assuming you trained under somebody who's legit. I'm putting out this video not just to slam this one moron. It's to slam this mindset that I've bumped into over the years. This holier-than-thou attitude that I see with certain people who were able to go abroad and throw a big chunk of their lives away in order to pursue this one thing. Guess what? Not everybody's like you. Other people have other focuses in life. They have priorities. They have responsibilities. I admire the people who are able to just up and just do something that the rest of us either can't or feel that we aren't ready to do. I got a friend, a really good friend of mine, who is like one of the most, like, I hesitate to say the word carefree, but I can't think of the word right now. Like, he's one of the dudes who can just pick up and go. He's been all around the world. Like, he'll like call me out of the blue, or he'll like, send me a message one day. Dude, I'm just letting you know that I'm not going to be in the US for like 6 months or so. I saved up my money. I'm just going abroad. This is a guy who actually backpacked. Seriously, I kid you not. This is a guy who backpacked through Asia all the way into freaking Vietnam. This is a guy who went to Egypt just because. He's there now. Okay, like he went to Egypt before when bombs and shit was going off, and then later on he took a trip out like over to like Thailand, and from Thailand he backpacked all the way to Vietnam before finally coming back to the US for a while, and he was in a martial arts gym training people in Thai kickboxing. He's in Egypt again. Just picked up and left. Granted, this is a dude with no family to tie him down. None. And he doesn't mind just simply working odd jobs to put his money together and living a Spartan existence so he can just up and go. Not all of us are like that. We may have our passions, but we will pursue it in different ways. Yang Ming, one of my favorite Chinese martial artists in the US today, has this retreat. I forgot exactly what state it's in, but he has this retreat out somewhere in the States on this like peaceful woodsy area separated from the rest of society, where anyone who is willing to pay their dues and go there and train hardcore for 10 years, no jobs, no school to go to, no other response. You are going to give this man 10 years of your life to go up to that retreat just to train hardcore in Chinese martial arts the way they used to do in ancient times. These guys are going to come out and be freaking amazing. I envy those guys. I can only imagine the training every day, hardcore, like the old school masters for 10 years. Now that's some dedication. If I were single, I'd probably be there. But you know what? I'm not single. I got a family. And I am not going to uproot my family I'm definitely not going to leave my family to go all the way out there. And I'm certainly not going to uproot them to live over there while I trained for 10 years in a martial art. Some people, they can go and do that. That's cool. I admire your dedication. Some people can't do that for a variety of reasons. Whether they can't do it because of financial reasons, whether they can't do it because of family obligations, whether they can't do it because they're not mentally prepared. People can't do it. They may have a passion in their art all the same, but there are certain things that are getting in the way of it. They are not self-defeating people, as this guy tried to say I was. You're easily defeated. Dude, I am not going to leave my family just to satisfy your freaking expectations of what I should do in order to go to a higher level of martial arts, especially when what we're talking about is research, not training. I've bumped into these type of assholes before, and to any martial artist watching this, please don't be this type of person. This is what this video, I'm trying to make this video for. You have to understand that people have different levels of focusing on something. Some people, they will focus on it just enough so that they're happy. The point is, in any art that you do or any particular thing that you pursue, whether it's martial arts or learning how to play the piano or learning how to work on computer software or learning how to build computers, whatever it is that you have a certain passion for that you dedicate your own time to, you are only doing it ultimately for your own self-knowledge and self-satisfaction. True, it is also a noble thing to spread this knowledge once you reach a certain level. But ultimately, you're doing it for yourself. And therefore, the only person you should be satisfying at your level of skill is you. Should you have a certain amount of dedication to it if you're treating it seriously? Well, yes, if you want to get good. But everybody's got different levels that they're willing to reach. Some people, they just want to get competent enough so that they know they can defend themselves with a martial art. Nothing wrong with that. Some people want to train in the martial arts just so they can stay in shape. I personally think that there are better ways to stay in shape, but at the same time, there's nothing really wrong with that. Some people train in a martial art just to see how much they can push themselves. If that's the way you want to do it, do you! Some people are willing to dedicate themselves to be these ultimate masters. Fan-fucking-tastic. You're the type of people I probably want to learn from. But everybody's got their own level of dedication that they are willing to put in or can put in. And to look down on other people because of the level that they're willing to reach is fucking retarded and arrogant, and it makes you an asshole. No matter how much you want to laud your skill, okay, yeah, you're fantastic in martial arts. Doesn't stop you from being an asshole. There's tons of assholes out there who happen to be good at fighting. Your dedication doesn't mean a goddamn thing to me if it made you an arrogant piece of shit. Then, in my personal opinion, you just wasted your time. This has gone on long enough, but I hope that I've put my message across. Don't just start putting on airs just because you happen to be willing to do certain things that other people, for whatever reason, can't do. And certainly don't be stupid enough to think that you can't just research shit to find out about it. There's tons of people out there who self-educated themselves in a variety of ways without having to travel to another freaking country or uproot themselves somewhere in order to learn it. They just had to put in the time. I mean, if you had to uproot yourself, there'd be tons of people trying to travel to Europe just so they can understand the theory of gravity, because somehow it's inferior to look up that information through journals or books or online. The stupidity hurts. It really does. Anyway, I'm ranting now. But there's a last... I do not want to do another video on stuff I find on YouTube. The next one I want to do is either a Dark Souls one or a political one, or the one that I've been meaning to do for a while, but I just haven't organized my thoughts correctly yet. In fact, you know what? That's what I'm going to work on now. But chew on this one for a little while. Catch you guys later.